I could have easily checked out a few years ago. I had 6% function. I had a day to live. I was watching a play.
Yeah.
And my soul, spirit, intelligence was trying to make decisions that were impossible. And I think the biggest part of it was the recognition and the realization that my family in the unseen worlds was really looking after me and says, "Hey, you want a big lesson? Tough guy." And then the benefit of the experience was to coming to the value of each breath and the unbelievable opportunity of being incarnated, of being here with ability and intelligence and connection to creation and with a mission and a job to do. The only real experience you have is your direct experience with life. And there's a lot of people who comment on this thing called life and what appears in it. And because there's so much noise going on in this modern age from media and phones and all the rest of it, and all the frequencies flying through the air,
Yes.
there's an enormous overwhelm in people's process.
How do we make sense of all the information fragments flying around us? How do we discern what's going on in us and outside of us? Welcome to this new series on We Be the Change, Navigating the New Energetics. I'm your host, Colleen Akiko. In this opening segment, Finding Our Bearings in Uncertainty, we begin by meeting Daniel Strawn, sacred artisan and artist who paints from the inside out and is also a teacher and mentor and a lifelong spiritual explorer. The first segment invites you to feel into the field of Daniel, who had kidney failure in 2019 and was on dialysis for more than 2 years until his younger brother gave him his kidney. You will hear Daniel share about natural law and the human design and ecology that we all inhabit, laying the foundation for the in-depth teachings on navigating the new energetics that he'll be sharing in the rest of the series. Enjoy feeling how Daniel's creative path flows with his spiritual curiosity in his unique expressions as an artistic well-being generator. As one gallery owner wrote, "If you look at Daniel Strawn's artwork and it makes you smile, then Daniel has accomplished what he set out to do." So let's just jump into this conversation of finding our bearings in uncertainty. We are here with Daniel Strawn. I know you, Daniel, as an incredibly imaginative artist who stretches the boundaries at whatever stage of life you happen to be in. You have an art degree from the University of Denver, and you were a fine antique furniture restorer
Yeah.
and designer, and you have worked with renowned architects for over 20 years, doing some amazing, unique, beautiful projects, as well as your paintings, your drawings. You come up with these sacred, amazing designs that go beyond the canvas and have expanded to sacred furnishings and altars for congregations and universities. Whatever you're doing, it seems that it is a close at hand expression of what has become alive for you in that moment and wants to come into creative expression. So I'd love to talk with you about that artistic expression and also what really caught my ear in one of our recent conversations is navigating the current energetics.
Right.
These intensities that are happening in our time right now that just have us holding on to the banisters. And we're not sure if we want to go up or down or forward or backwards. We just kind of want to hold on. And yet we know that our highest calling is to let go.
I've always loved you so much. I've always seen you, equally inspired soul. And so here we are. I think we're in really exciting times. And
Feel that.
my personal journey was like, I could have easily checked out a few years ago.
Yeah.
And because I love my daughter, I'm here. I made a decision. Spirit gave me a choice.
Would you embellish that just a little bit? You did just about exit your body due to not having functioning kidneys.
I had 6% function. I had a day to live. I think that I had been ill for a long time. It's complicated and overwhelming, but I was watching a play,
Yeah.
and my soul, spirit, intelligence was trying to make decisions that were impossible. And I think the biggest part of it was the recognition and the realization that my family in the unseen worlds was really looking after me and says, "Hey, you want a big lesson? Tough guy." And then the benefit of the experience was to coming to the value of each breath and the unbelievable opportunity of being incarnated, of being here with ability and intelligence and connection to creation and with a mission and a job to do. And I feel like, notice I'm saying I feel like, not I think.
Good.
What's important really is finding our bearings in uncertainty. And whenever one's in an uncertainty or a close-in situation, whether it's with a person or an issue, people like to get close into it. But you realize when you get close into something, the energetics bounce around more and more. And so oftentimes if you try to get close into something and you bounce off, the lesson is back up. Take a few steps back and take a look at the context where this is happening, whether it's philosophical or having to do with moving vehicles. I don't know. If you back up, you're going to see the whole intersection and the bicyclist and this and that, right?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
The intersection talks about flow and connection at the same time, and stopping and going.
Yeah. And I call that the breath work of life, to see the analogies of there's something coming in and there's something going out. Whatever's coming into my field is not me. And whatever's going out of my field might be affected by me. I might have an effect, what's going out. But neither of those things are you. The true dwells in the equipoise, in the space in between. Like this notion of the stillness that acquires the will, the wisdom. And so this is a nice little gateway into the law of three. One iteration of that is the positive, negative, and neutral vectors of life. And that is a breath work in itself. Because a lot of times we're trying to blow hot air and suck in cash at the same time, and that really doesn't work.
Blow hot air and suck in cash. Okay.
Yeah.
Could you give us an example of that, Daniel?
Turn on mass media. But that's a problem. So everything that I translate or work in, I try to come from a situation of understanding natural law. And I know that someone wrote a book called Natural Law or this or that, but the only real experience you have is your direct experience with life. And there's a lot of people who comment on this thing called life and what appears in it. And because there's so much noise going on in this modern age from media and phones and all the rest of it, and all the frequencies flying through the air, there's an enormous overwhelm in people's process.
Yes.
So if I was the king of education on the planet, there are a few fundamentals that would be included in first grade.
Yeah.
I can list some of those things. And the importance of grasping or trying to integrate these into your mind, into your consciousness, into your way, is because you have to discern what's going on in you and outside of you. And with all this fragmented information, people are reaching out of themselves, trying to make sense of.
Yeah. When we become aware that we've got stuff flying around, we don't know if it's us, it's something we experienced, something that's happened that we know about, something that's happening or happened that we don't know about, something that happened ancestrally that's just lurked up.
Yeah, those things can be better understood if you have a realistic foundation to work from in yourself.
Okay.
And the importance of natural law and the design that we inhabit, the ecology that we inhabit, most people only see the physical world and they respond to it. Not only that, but they live and respond in a very dualistic way.
Yes.
So there's always some kind of push or pull going on, and they're looking for well-being and peace and happiness in a situation that's always dualistic. And they see it on the outside of themselves. It's Like when two poles come together, play with magnets, right? Negative to negative, they push apart. Positive to positive, they push apart. Positive to negative, they attract. So that's an electromagnetic ecology that people buy into. And mostly all it really requires is to slow down, a little bit so you can actually feel what's going on rather than having an instant reactive process.
Yes.
Now, this is well understood by mischievous people. So they use this system to rob you, essentially, of your God-given organic life force. Because if I'm standing here and I'm holding an end of a string and you're standing here and you're holding an end of the string and we're playing push me, pull you, a third party can grab the middle of the string and pull you both in their direction effortlessly. Now that can be used for good or evil. What's important is that the good of you should be pulling that third vector string. So let's just never mind anything going outside of you, but when you sit alone and you're going this or that, when you have a conundrum.
Yeah.
Usually when I'm in a conundrum, I just stop and I sit and I'll breathe and I'll evaluate what's going on from the third chair.
From the third chair.
Yeah. Now, the third chair dialogue has been going on between me and one of my philosopher friends for a number of years now. Okay. But so that's one of the principles. So that's adopting the third vector, the neutral vector. How is this power of three, this third vector, this positive, negative, and neutral, supposed to be working? So let's try and understand what's supposed to happen rather than the malfunctions of how it happens. Right?
Okay.
And we can go back to the very beginning because life is full of different kinds of expressions like shock value. Organically, we have different shocks that happen in our lives or threshold experiences. Okay, so let's imagine we're in a womb and we're getting too big for the space. And so the energy's bouncing around and it's like a nuclear reactor in a womb. You're a mom, so you know the intensity of that energetic. And because there's a chunk of creation just trying to get in, this whole idea that there's a physical and an electromagnetic happening going on. And I don't know, I might have been playing handball against the wall in the womb or something. And then all of a sudden I'm getting really uncomfortable and I'm getting pushed out of here. Yeah. And basically the mother and the child separate like magnets, positives. It's an occasion where they push away from each other. And that happens after the water breaks because that water was an insulator between the child and the mother. But when that insulation goes, the physiology of the mother registers that there's an invader in the camp and it must go out. And the baby's getting really uncomfortable because it's outlived that container. So it has to go through this unknown passageway. Just think of the core of the design of natural surrender to go over a new threshold where what's on the other side is an unknown. That's
very uncomfortable.
Yeah. Glad I don't remember that stage. But once you arrive over here, there's a huge urge in creation for expansion.
Yes.
And so when you're first born, you're a blank sheet pretty much. You have a feeling and an intuitive connection to mom. And you're in her energetic field. You're part of the mother's field. And your life depends on, you're all about, give me the breast. It's really intense.
Yeah, I'm hungry.
Yeah. So I think it's important to register that you came into this world through a threshold experience without knowledge.
Yes.
And so it makes me think of other nature world analogies, like how a caterpillar can only eat so much and then it goes into the urge to, into chrysalis. And then, which is funny, I wonder how Christian chrysalis is. But anyway, so basically they go into what's called the goo state.
Yeah, mush. Right.
They turn into slime, right?
Yeah.
And then there's so much extraordinary energetic intelligence that the DNA demands that they become a butterfly, right?
It's amazing.
Butterflies are an infant, and then it gets really uncomfortable, and then they break out, just like we break out. But they have the program to be a butterfly, right?
Yes.
And they're true to that. They're true to the design and function of butterfly, right? Human beings are a bit more
choice involved sometimes.
Yeah. And so you start to think, what's the natural expression of a human butterfly? And I think human butterflies, the first after survival, which is food, I'm hungry, and warmth and being held and being attended to, when that's in process, then the next urge is what the hell's going on here and find out.
Where are the boundaries?
And it's very interesting that one of the first things babies do, and they actually discover this in womb, which is their hands, which I always thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they relate to them as part of them or not, but it's just, oh, this is available. And so this is the beginning of the process of discovery.
Discovery.
And it's about hands. So this has got to be my favorite diagram, right? Now, to understand what a human being is, you have to look at the evidence firsthand. You can read lots of books about it, but to make it really stick for you and your soul, it's this path called self-discovery, because that's the organic way. And the hands are a diagram of what you are. And I'm not talking about your individual soul path and I must be a healer. And
Not the palm reading.
it's not a palm reading, but this is a diagram for the electrical circuitry of a human being, right?
Yes.
And guess what? There's two. Okay, 5, right? 5 plus 2 is 7.
Perfect.
So the 5, I pull references from everywhere. And I have a broad spectrum of references so I can bring to bear images that people can relate to, right? 5 loaves and 2 fishes.
5 loaves, 2 fishes.
So when Jesus was doing this teaching, he had 12 disciples, 10, 11, 12. And they were just enamored and wanted to know and felt his presence. And I'm not an evangelist, by the way, but I learned from all teachers,
Yes.
right? Even the bad ones. And mostly what they teach is don't do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the 5 and the 2. So Jesus said, gosh, thanks for coming. It was a great show. The food truck didn't show up and the people said, we're hungry. And he says, well, what do you got? And they said, we've got 5 loaves and 2 fishes. And this is an analogy for levels of education. It's also an analogy to do with how the human system works in the electrical worlds, how it processes. And it's very ordered and it's very logical. And it's very obvious once you get into the knack, and it's very connective.
A lot of patterns.
Yes, because we're not talking about egos and we're not talking about accomplishment or anything else. We're just talking about what we are. So the 5 loaves are the basic understanding of the human system. And the diagram goes like this: white, red, blue, yellow, green. And you go, wait a minute, is this a color study? Why, yes, it is. And it's just, okay, so you've got rainbow bread.
Bread.
You got rainbow bread.
Okay.
And then you got fancy frosting.
Oh.
White, red, blue, yellow, green, silver, and gold. Okay. Silver and gold, the metallic energetics, are designed to sit on a developed pentagram.
Interesting.
Okay.
Let me back up. Where did you get those 5 colors?
Where did I get them?
How did you determine the 5 colors?
Well, I didn't determine it.
How did it come to you?
I was part of a international education and research foundation that was studying and looking at natural law and what comes out of it. So there was a very broad educational base, okay, which is all about the electrical worlds and less about the history. So as far as development, human development, everything, it's all there. You could spend 1,000 lifetimes just studying the Chinese view of their energetic, right? But I don't have that much time. So I like to get to where is there a commonality? Where does the unification principle appear?
Yes.
I'm not looking for duality. I'm looking for understanding. And I'm saying, let's understand what a human being is. And so with white, right? So my favorite part of that story is really the developmental application of the pentagrammic studies. That's what this is called, pentagrammic. Not because it's like an upside down pentagram on a black book. This is, look, you got a problem with the pentagram, then grow a 6th finger. Developmentally, a baby, that first hunger, a baby is a sponge. And it's in the stage of absorbing content on all levels.
Yeah.
Well, it's absorbing impressions, it's absorbing food, it's absorbing sounds and music, and they don't have a vocabulary to deal with other than, I love it when babies laugh.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's the punchline of the cosmic joke right there.
Oh, I could tell you a story about that, but yes.
Sure. So white is like a sponge, and it doesn't really do anything. It just absorbs.
Okay.
In the developmental journey, white is, you could say, is the storehouse of your experience. You draw from.
What we have absorbed.
Yeah. And like your content, right, is the white, right? Just, you can go through there's other organs that are white as well, energetically.
Mm.
So as a being, the first order of business is find out and gather information.
Yeah.
And it all goes in there, right? Keep your white clean. So if it doesn't feel right, if it doesn't look right, if it doesn't smell right, you don't need that in your warehouse.
And don't source from there.
I source from everywhere because I have the capacity to discern what is good and bad for me. But I'm in a creation that has everything. And who am I to judge? I don't understand it. Doesn't mean it's bad. So at any rate,
Yeah.
another word you can put with white, when you see white, what does that go with in the world? You could say clean, white, antiseptic. You could relate that to the bones.
Okay.
And bones are a lot of things. They keep you from flopping in the corner. And they're also batteries.
That's good
And
to know.
They're also the birthplace of red.
Yes. The marrow.
Yes. So the red blood cells are born. So you could say that red is born out of white. Okay. So this is anatomy. With white, you have the bones and you have the blood and the tissue, right? And you have waterworks and you have the nervous system, right?
Yes.
You have all these different systems, and each one is an inner life. So as we walk around after a while in these studies, you realize that I'm not just one thing. I'm multiple. I'm a corporation.
Yeah.
I'm a creation corporation. So that you have some reference or start recognizing what things are. And because red is born out of white, it's the apparatus that goes into white and plucks out what's needed.
Okay.
Blue is a principled statement. What that represents is the part of you that weighs and balances the intuition and more of the feeling life. And could be say the principled life, right? So when blue is proper, it's in the center of the pentagram. And what it does is it evaluates, right? And it works both ways, white up or
Blue down.
So anyway, most of the world developmentally is in, when I say duality, they're in the dance of red and white because they're processing at blood level.
This is very
And when
survival.
the blood rules the day, it's very reactive, right? This is, my mommy says it's waning. My mommy says it's sprinkling. And then the third vector says it's precipitation.
It's just a little sprinkle.
It's a sprinkle. But blue is the aspect that sees what's needed, asks red to pluck out the references out of the white. Okay. But if you look at history, there's all kinds of examples. If you do a study of color, look at flags. And you say, why are there so many flags that are red, white, and blue?
Interesting.
And what's even weirder is that if you anagram, you take those letters that say red, white, and blue, and you anagram them, you know what you get? We three build red, white, and blue.
We three build.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. So you have content, action, and principle. In a triad, those three build. Okay. The next, and there, of course, there's high and low aspects to all of these, depending on how you approach it. Next, what's this finger? What's important about this finger? What do they call that finger? This is the pointer.
Yeah, this is tall boy.
The tall boy. And then this one, this is the ring finger, isn't it?
It is. Yep.
Yes. So this is yellow. And yellow is about that which you would want to hold. So in the process of red, white, and blue, the yellow vector is where you collect the value of the process between the energetic of we three build,
And
pluck out, and you can get the value or the energetic. So that's where you hold something, right? So that's where you hold your value, your family, your religious life, your contract life. So this is of importances, right? Yeah. And then, so the little finger, right? I just noticed something, Colleen.
Yeah?
They're all different lengths.
Yeah.
So it's so these different lengths, speed-wise, talking about frequency, how fast is it? So in the electrical worlds, the higher it is, the faster it is, and the more punch it's got. So the green finger is that energetic. You could say that it's the higher mentality in the sexual center. And so in a lot of ways, when you think of the green finger, you think of the Kundalini. But it's also the energetic you move forward with into the next octave. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to build content. You're trying to build energetic potency. That's what development is.
Energetic potency. I like that.
Yeah. So this pentagrammic study goes everywhere. So you have to think is like the hand, white, red, blue, yellow, and green. So this green finger is really important because we're given a machine that can collect and separate and sieve the energetics in our world. What are you going to do with it?
The smallest and the least.
It's the fastest wavelength, right? And it also has to do with healing energy. Green is like spring, okay?
Life.
Life. When sprouts first come out of the ground in the spring, and there's this particular vibey, buzzy green that a lot of new life appears with.
Yes.
So like I was saying before, from white, red, blue, yellow, green, that's called the road of development because that's building, okay? So as you grow and develop, you start occupying these vectors. That's how the system actually works. That's the organic nature of your system. We'll get to silver and gold later, but it can also go like a transcendent from high to low, so low to high frequency, which is the building. High to low is the receiving and really the design that can receive higher frequencies, and it breaks down and integrates into the whole system. So it goes both ways. Green can be that inspiration, like knowing you a bit, you might be playing around with a few rhythms and tunes or a lyric or something musically. And then when it comes together, it's green. All of a sudden, boom, and you get excited. And then you say, well, how can I hold on to that? Which is the yellow vector. So that energetic breaks down into the others. And pretty soon it's on your album, right? It's on your album. It's in the white stock. Yeah, I did that, right? But you could say that craftsmanship, which is something that I hold really high in terms of being an artisan. I don't understand it. It's one of the mysteries that keeps me going. It's the magic of appearance and using the hands to complete the circuit of head, heart, and hands. You feel it, you think it, and you create it. And that is a completed circuit.
There we go.
So I could say that was one of my primary fundamentals. See, I pay that into my mentality. I invest in that.
Yeah.
Enactment and the use of this machine is its own reward.
Yeah.
I have a whole bunch of writing about what I call CPA, creative process activation. And these are the natural organic tools to engage in the design and in life and inspiration and the creation of the dynamo of well-being.
I love that. The creation of the dynamo of well-being. Yeah.
And then the fundamental of paying into that.
It's close as our own hand.
And that hand strikes the prayer wheel, which spins on our behalf. It's like a dynamo like that. You can image it any way you want.
Yes.
But natural references are always best.
Thanks for joining us in this exhilarating conversation with Daniel Strawn. Feel free to invite others and share your thoughts and questions with us. Just head over to songrise.live, that's SONGRISE.LIVE, where you can also access bonus content, some fresh resources, and the free e-guide, Out of Your Mind into Your Light. So tune in next week for the second segment of this new series on We Be the Change, Navigating the New Energetics. I'm your host, Colleen Akiko. Have a beautiful week.